This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with lies and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, chosen just neglected, deflected by some breaking news. Are we just accepted, expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective? Don't question their objectives, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the Testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic.
Hey, it's Steven. I have got an incredible offer just for my audience. You know, with societal changes and evolving safety concerns, there is no time like the present to prioritize home protection. Don't leave your home and loved ones vulnerable. Secure your peace of mind with a cutting-edge home security system. My company, Advanced Home Pros, has partnered with Safe Haven, the nation's #1 ADT authorized dealer. They have agreed to give my audience the deal of a lifetime. My audience will get a free ADT smart home system, which has an $850 value, with new monitoring service. Just mention Truth Talk with Steve and get an additional $500 equipment voucher on me to customize the system to your home today. Call 888-520-9212 now or go to homesecuritywithsteve.com. That's 888-520-9212 or jump over to homesecuritywithsteve.com. Terms and conditions apply. Hey folks, welcome to Truth Talk with Steve. Today I've got my good friend George Bailey back with us, and I'm really excited to chat and learn about a lot of the research and information he's done. He's done a lot of stuff. Geez, well over, how long have you been doing research on this, George? Well over a decade.
Since 2008.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, so I just really appreciate you being here. We're going to talk today about JFK and JFK assassination. So welcome back, George.
All right, thanks. Glad to be here with you.
Well, great. You know, there's so many different things to focus on regarding what took place back, what was it, 1963 or 4? I always mix that up.
It's 1963.
Yeah. 22nd. I mean, I can remember that because it's the day after my birthday. So what, I just want to turn it over to you and let you kind of start, you know, maybe talk about some of the things that you've found. I know we've talked briefly before and talked about a money order that, you know, seems very suspicious, and maybe we can start with that and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, but I want to do that, but I want to start out with one little paragraph here that came from the House Select Committee on Assassination. This was the second and last investigation on the Kennedy assassination. Of course, the Warren Commission that determined there was a lone gunman and nothing else. And so they, in the final report, which was published in 1979, they said, and I quote, "The committee believes, on the basis of evidence available to it, that President John F. Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. The committee is unable to identify the other gunman or to the extent of the conspiracy."
Wow.
Here they are admitting. Now, when was the last time you heard that on the mainstream media?
No kidding. Yeah. Admitting that a conspiracy is something that's truth, which we're starting to learn that most of it is truth. Down there, the ones, the CIA is the ones that created that word anyway, just to do a psyop on all of us.
And there's guys who write books on the and they side with the lone gunman theory, and you know, they never mention the House Select Committee at all.
Wow.
And because of this, because saying yeah, there is a conspiracy, and that's the last official government investigation.
To me, that's a massive insight for me, because, you know, I haven't done a ton of research, but I've listened to several things and tried to pay attention, but I've never heard that they've admitted that. That, to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and that the report's scanned and it's out there online, and everybody can go and look at it and read it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So all this stuff, and so there's that. So one of the things also I wanted to cover was Oswald's. It's an important piece of evidence in the case that they used against him was his connection to the 𝗏𝐿𝐴 carbine that he ordered. So I want to go over the money order that was used, because there's a lot of issues and irregularities with that.
And this money order was used to purchase what again?
It was used to purchase the rifle.
Okay.
𝗏𝐿𝐴. And so he was working at a photography company called 𝗎𝙗𝐿𝐴 there in Dallas. And he was employed at the time. His records indicate no absences, yet he's supposed to have somehow or another bought the money order, which was at a post office that was 11 blocks away. Well, he didn't have transportation or time to get there. But there you go. There's the money order. And then when it's mailed from a different post office, because there's a postal code on the envelope that shows it was mailed from a post office on the west side of Dallas. And it was sent airmail. So it got there the very next day to Klein's Sporting Goods in Chicago. Very next morning. This is pre-FedEx now. So he got it pretty fast. So Klein's does have the endorsement stamp on it. What it's supposed to have is two bank routing stamps. One's the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, and the other's the Federal Reserve Bank in Richmond, Virginia, which was the next one. Then the final resting place is in Postal Money Order Facility in Kansas City. And so these routing stamps are all missing. And also, when the money order is found, it's found in an office in the National Archives. And nobody ever bothers to state, and they never bothered to investigate what it was doing there, who thought to look for it there, or anything else.
Jeez.
And so you can see why Oswald didn't get a trial, because all this would have come out.
Yeah.
And plus his fingerprints weren't found on the envelope or the order coupon or the money order either. And then on top of that, there was an issue with him actually picking up the rifle at the post office in Dallas, because it was out there. Let's see, it was the money order, and he had a form. He had a form he filled out for his post office box. He had his name on there, Lee H. Oswald. Now, he ordered it under his alias. His alias was Alex Heidel, or A. Heidel, as he ordered it. Okay. But on this form for the post office box, he could put additional names on there, but he didn't. So it would most likely, he would have not been able to pick up the rifle at the post office anyway. It would have been addressee unknown, return to sender.
Wow.
So you have that issue. And then he ordered the 36-inch model, which Klein's was selling at the time, and it was, but when they found the rifle in at the school in school book depository building on the 6th floor, hidden behind some boxes, it was a 40-inch model there.
Oh,
Same is true for the pistol, which he ordered the standard Smith & Wesson 38, and when he was arrested in the movie theater, he had this 38 special. So he ordered two different guns. He ordered two guns of a certain type, and he got like upgraded ones.
Wow. And what a bonus. Isn't it? I mean, I think most of us that have been paying attention and awake and doing a little bit of digging over the last many years, it's pretty clear that there's always a patsy in all these false flags, and pretty much everything that, we're told we're crazy for believing is just like this originally, because it's a conspiracy theorist, crazy people like us, but yet the truth of this stuff is really coming to light. And I actually, the Oklahoma City bombing thing, when that happened with Nichols and McVeigh, when I was actually, I'll talk about this openly on this podcast on other episodes, but when I went to federal prison, I was in Colorado, and the 𝗎𝐸x Supermax was just up the street, and I worked there. And that's where Terry Nichols was. At this point, McVeigh had been executed, I believe. And I don't even know what he was. I can't remember if he was even at the 𝗎𝐸x, but Terry was. And one night, I'm just green, new. And we were in charge. My group was in charge of basically buffing these floors. And they're like literally, I remember stepping them off. I think it was 150 yards long, these 3 hallways, because it's like a triangle. They're built in the mountain, kind of. And anyway, being a dumb, naive person in jail, these garbage sacks, because it would go first through these halls, and they would toss the garbage sacks out into the hall from the housing units of all the inmates. And so it's like my 3rd week there, and these garbage sacks are clear, and there's a lot of Arabic writing and some. And then this one note, the kid I was with, he knew where there was a dead spot, because of course there's cameras in most of those halls, and he pulls that open, and it was literally a note from Terry Nichols to his supervisor. Can't remember the name. You'd think I'd remember that stuff, but unit manager, that was it, asking him to make a phone call on August 18th at 12 p.m. And he printed his name and then signed it, Terry Nichols. So just, to me, it was just kind of fascinating that that guy's in there. But once again, at that time in my life, I wasn't really aware of any of these kind of things. I mean, I thought things didn't really add up, but I never thought past it. Didn't really, I was busy with life like they have us, and didn't pay much attention. But as I've, woken up and started to really pay attention and try to learn and ask questions, there's no doubt that these patsies most of them seem like they're MK Ultra, and then they're put in these positions to be the fall guys for these false flags that are committed.
Yeah, they are. And when you said he's the patsy, Oswald did. I truly believe he was.
I do too.
He was totally set up there, and this whole deal with the money order shows that it was a fraudulent thing, a phony piece of evidence, really.
Absolutely.
That would have been, his lawyer would have made hay on that, So
yeah, it's crazy.
It really is. So then, moving on here to Marina Oswald, there's other issues here with her, in that when she gave her testimony in front of the Warren Commission, she needed a translator, but she was apparently a very, very good English speaker, so she covered that up. And wow. in the National Archives, there's a JFK section, and in there are all these notepads and notebooks and journals she kept, and they're all written in English.
Oh, wow.
And that includes letters and postcards and so on. So if you can read and write English,
yeah, you can definitely speak it.
Yeah, in fact, former neighbors, and they moved around a lot, and they remember talking to her in English as well. She had an accent, of course, but so you have that going on. Then one of the things that she got into some financial dealings. She got contacted by Life magazine and Look and all these places, and so her business dealings wound up earning her a total of $132,350 that year.
Jeez.
And this was film rights, and there's a book deal, photography reproductions, and so on. The highest amount she was paid was from Tex Italia Films, and they paid her $84,000 for film, TV rights, movie about her life, and that kind of thing. And then as soon as she got the check, they were gone. They were kicked out of their offices for non-payment of rent now in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh.
And then after that, Hoover went up to J. Lee Rankin, who was the chief counsel, and said, in our investigation, we're not going to be digging into any of Marina's financial dealings.
Oh, how convenient.
Which is good, because you got this screwy thing going on, and then to end it all off, Marina's 1964 tax return listed an income. Now remember, she was paid over $132,000.
Right.
her income was listed as $40,935. So just under $41,000. So I don't know if some of this money is considered a gift or what.
Yeah, where's all that?
Yeah, I mean, where did it all go? So that's out there too.
So what's your take on them paying, or getting those deals and stuff? I mean, is that just a way to, I don't know. What's your take on that? Or is there nothing behind it really other than?
Well, I think it's most likely taking care of the star witness in the case.
That's what I think, bribing her to do. Yeah.
These guys, well, she framed him. And then years later, she said, well, she back battled on that. And she said she was a blind kitten. That's what she said. So she went along with it.
Well, I'd love to get in somebody's head like that, or to be, well, I wouldn't want to be on the side that knows the details, but I'd like that to be exposed because it'd be interesting to see how deep that goes. Was she, part of it and put in place, in the whole marriage and everything? Or, was it a real relationship and then this stuff all took place? I don't know. There's just so many things that could, be possible, obviously. And
there's so many different ways you could go with that.
Yeah.
Because what she was doing was she could speak English really well, but she didn't want to be probably detected as a spy if she spoke well. Oswald did the same thing. He could speak English very well. And then he pretended that he couldn't while he stayed in Russia. And so, because likewise, he didn't want to be detected as a spy. And they had a false detector program into the Soviet Union, at that time when Oswald was there. So we had that going on. So that one thing that also is this, even now after all these years, there's tons of unsealed documents. One of the ones that always really got me was Oswald's mother's tax returns. They're sealed from 1956 to 1962. Now, what threat to national security are her tax returns?
No kidding.
So I was talking to a fellow researcher on this, and he said most likely it shows a revenue stream from the would be listed the Department of Treasury, meaning she was doing some informant work or something.
Interesting.
So, and that's an important time period because in 1956 is when Lee left home to join the Marines, and he defected in 1960. And then in 1962 is when him and his wife and child returned. That's a period of time there, with all of that.
Yeah.
And then you have Ruth Payne, who helped Oswald get the job at the school book depository building. Her husband Michael, they have their tax returns classified from 1956 to 1958. So they were probably doing some informant work as well.
Wow.
And then after the assassination, Michael went off to work for Bell Corporation, building helicopters for the Vietnam War.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he also has additional files sealed on him and various family members. And that's a total of 29 files that are sealed on him. Ruth's sister, Sylvia Hoke, she was we now know she was a CIA agent, so her files are classified. Some of Lee's returns are available. Lee Oswald's returns are available, but they're not sealed, but some are missing. I forgot the exact years. Lee also had a cousin named Marilyn Moret, and she was she gave her testimony to the Warren Commission. It's sort of bland, but when she gave her commission, she gave her testimony to the House Select Committee on Assassinations. But before they could talk to her and take her testimony, they had to get permission from the CIA to talk to her. Now, she had been doing a lot of traveling and teaching overseas and everything, which could have been a cover. But I think they had to get permission from the CIA shows there's a relationship there between her and them. And so, and then 23 pages of her testimony were classified. They've never been released.
Jeez, Yeah, it's interesting that
Yeah.
all this stuff's still classified. I mean, wonder, Trump claimed he was gonna, you know, bring those out, but didn't. I wonder why that didn't happen. I've heard some people speculate that they don't think the people could handle it, but who knows? I don't know. I think we can handle the
Well,
truth a lot more than people think.
there's some real deep dark secret there. I remember Senator Howard Baker once asked Richard Nixon about the Kennedy assassination, and Nixon said, "Well, you don't want to know."
Yeah,
There's something pretty deep going on there with all that.
yeah.
And I just remembered going back to the Oswald's rifle. They never determined where he bought the bullets from, and he didn't have very. But bullets are either the rifle or the pistol, and didn't have a cleaning kit or anything like that. And, gun owners, they'll stock up on ammo.
Yeah. What's the point? You don't have ammo.
Yeah, and collect it. And
Yeah.
I do here. And he had virtually nothing as far as ammunition, and they never traced any places where he had bought any.
Wow. Yeah, there's just way too many holes, and
yeah,
it's
you
crazy.
don't see why it's covered up. It's stuff going on. And then, of course, the FBI did test the rifle later, and the scope wasn't properly sighted on it. And so, then you have all kinds of things. There's at least 20 that we were told Oswald couldn't drive a car. He was taking lessons from Ruth Paine, but there's 27 witnesses that have been found that saw him driving.
Really?
Yeah, he used to go to the sports drone firing range and shoot some of the targets and everything, test target shooting and so on.
Uh-huh.
And he was seen driving a car there.
Wow.
He used to go to a barber shop there in Fort Worth. Now he's supposed to have spent all his time in the summer of 1963 in New Orleans. But there's a guy named Cliff Silverstein. I think I just mispronounced his name. He was a barber. They had a barbershop, and he said Oswald came in numerous times that summer, and about a half a dozen times, and he was seen driving a car going up to the barbershop, stuff like that. So there's all these discrepancies and things like that go on, and all these witnesses that contradict, the official story.
Right. It's like they say, when you tell a lie, if you continue to tell lies, eventually you're not able to keep track. And so different things come out, and, and that's just part of the way it works. And obviously the witnesses, they're speaking what they saw, what they witnessed. But it's just interesting. I mean, with the things that I've learned and whatnot over the last several years, I mean, there's no doubt that in my mind at all, this was an inside CIA hit on him. And if we look at how he was treated, was it Lincoln, Kennedy? I mean, they tried to hit Reagan, and the way they've attacked Trump and the things they've done, every one of these presidents were trying to do specific things against the cabal, against mainly the banking and the financial side of things, and it's just
people have said that Kennedy was like the last real president we had.
Yeah,
things he was doing, and he was definitely, the files have come out. He was definitely trying to get the troops out of Vietnam.
Yeah, that's right.
And so killing him stopped that, and that's when that whole thing blew up.
Well, and he had that famous quote, I won't know the quote exactly, but, where he said it's splinter the CIA into whatever pieces,
1,000 pieces.
Yeah, 1,000 pieces. So it's like he knew things that were going on, and he knew how bad it was for the country, Yeah,
well, the CIA it's sort of divided up into two sections. One's the intelligence gathering side, and then there's the action group, because that's what the Bay of Pigs fiasco was. That was a CIA-run military op.
Yeah. Geez.
And so Kennedy signed, there's a special memorandum he signed to make sure that all military operations are run through the Pentagon after that.
Yeah.
And to stop this kind of nonsense. But it's still going on, though. and
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
they've gone totally rogue now.
Absolutely. So with the research that you've done, on this whole situation, I mean, what is your belief, your opinion based on all the information you've gathered and research you've done?
Well, it was a deep state hit, and Kennedy was doing too many things that they didn't want done. He wasn't playing along with them, and they saw him as trouble. And I think they always had a contingency plan for a president that wasn't going to do what he's told.
Yeah.
And so there's where Oswald and all that comes into play. A few years back, there was a comedian named Bill Hicks. And
yeah. There's a lot of stories around Bill Hicks and who he is and turned into, possibly. Who knows? That's another conspiracy.
Yeah. He used to do routines on the Kennedy assassination. Not that there's anything really funny about it, but he said that what happens to a new president-elect. He said he gave the scenario. He said you take him into a room, special meeting. They seat him. Everybody sits down at the table. They pull down a screen. They turn the lights off, and they show a version of the Zapruder film or some other film showing Kennedy's assassination from a totally different angle nobody's ever seen. And then they turn the lights back on, pull the screen up, and the president-elect says, "Well, what is my agenda going to be?"
Exactly. And
I'm surprised if they don't hang that over their heads.
Well, I think I've come to a realization, at least my belief is, with what's happened the last 7-8 years, that, they're all selected, and placed for, it's all tied to bloodlines and all crazy stuff. It's just nuts. It's hard to even believe, frankly, but there's just been too many things that I've put together that tend to show me a different picture.
And a whole bunch of them are Freemasons.
Oh, yeah.
Rightly, all the presidents were Freemasons.
Yep.
Kennedy was not.
Yeah. It's very interesting. That's crazy how much infiltration there is in so many different organizations, whether it's government, religious organizations, you name it, that have Freemasons at the highest levels.
Yeah, the Freemasons, there's the Knights of Malta and all these.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, we're living in a amazing time, crazy time, sometimes nerve-wracking time, frustrating time. But I'm certainly glad that I feel like I'm blessed to be awake to see that what is truly going on, rather than thinking everything's just normal and I'm going on with life, going, working the job every day and doing what we were conditioned and kind of forced into doing, by the way the system's set up. We're nothing but slaves. That's really what we are. We're slaves to their debt, slaves to their system.
Plus, we live in a time of tremendous propaganda and lying.
Oh,
and that's one of the main reasons I blog, about this, the Kennedy assassination and other issues. I mean, the Kennedy assassination and NASA and so on.
Yeah.
I want to find out what the truth is, and I started digging into it, and I always find out that we were lied to.
Yeah.
About just about everything. With the Kennedy assassination, the Watergate, Oklahoma City bombing, as you said, 9/11.
Yeah. All these.
If you know people that were there when these things were happening, they'll tell you a totally different story than what the government says.
Yeah.
What the conclusion is.
Yeah. Well, that's what's interesting is if you put these pieces together, it's all a plan to, if you take 9/11, for example, and what that did, how many rights basically we just freely gave up, that they already had ready to, what's the name of the act that was put into play after that?
Patriot Act.
Patriot Act. Yeah. That, I can't remember how many hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of pages that is. And it's just ready to roll out and, within no time after 9/11. And there's always a plan behind it. It's always a problem, reaction, solution. And they create a problem. You can look at this with the whole pandemic and simply out of fear. That's how most people are reacting to, emotion of fear. And so then they just dangle the solution, and we just simply have followed along, for the most part, until, more recently, more people have said enough of this BS, but I've been guilty of it, certainly. And I think that's what really got me so into wanting to find truth, and why I do this is because it was so hard for me to believe at first that they were, because it's masterful in so many ways what they've been able to pull off, because they're, number one, they're willing to play the long game, big time long game, you know. They're looking for results 50 years down the road or 100 years down the road, not next year, not 5 years, you know. But we can see that, I think, you know, they've had a few cogs put in their wheel, so to speak, that does kind of slowing things down and showing people really how evil, you know, our governments are.
Yeah, it's like a criminal enterprise at this point.
Bingo. Yep.
The things that they're doing. Anyway, so I've had, you know, since I started my blog in 2008, I've had over 800,000 views. It shows you how people are, and I'm not advertising.
Right.
And
it's a great blog, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And it's that one is and I post now on at 𝗎𝗲𝐵𝗲𝗲𝐬𝗏_Substack.com, but I started out on blogspot.com. So did I say Substack?
That's, yeah, now, right?
Yeah,
𝗎𝗲𝐵𝗲𝗲_Substack.com.
And then the other one was the blog spots. And I had tracking software for a while, so I could see who all was coming. And, you know, I had like every branch of the military, every branch of the government.
Wow.
CIA came to visit. Yeah, I had, you know, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Air Force. I had the high ends too. I had the, you know, CENTCOM, STRATCOM, AFRICOM, NORTHCOM, Pentagon, all them comes. Like, you know, these people have anything to do with these agencies. So get online and read blog articles.
I think they probably have, I'll bet you they have teams that literally are paying attention to the people doing specific things that, you know, that are, you know, exposing or talking about the things that they believe are the truth versus what we've been told. And anyway, keep going, because I know you've had other experiences with that as well.
Yeah, I had that. And then I started, as I told you earlier, you know, I when I was doing a lot of my photography work, I'd go up to Ohio and shoot pictures of the fall color every year. And because my friends are there and they help me get to the state parks and everything. And so I don't know when it started, but the first time I came home, opened my bag, and in there was a card, said that my bag had been searched by the Transportation Security Administration.
Yes.
There you go, right there. So, and I'm nobody important. I'm just a little guy shooting or writing articles, you know. But they're apparently keeping tags on me. And here's 5 more right here.
You're pretty much getting, your bag's getting searched every time, it looks like.
And there's a friend of mine, a JFK researcher, told me, he said, basically, they really don't have to search your bag. All I need to do is put the card in there to let you know that, you know, you're being watched.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Jeez.
And then I had other things happen too. I had a situation where I went to go get the mail one time, and I came back. I heard something rustling behind the seat, the passenger side seat. And I looked back there, and there was a turtle back there. What Florida they call a gopher tortoise, about that big. They're kind of thick and about big around back then. The truck is locked at all times. And my dad was alive at the time, so I made sure. I knew he wouldn't do that, but I asked him anyway to make sure. And of course, he didn't do it. And so and of course, that's an endangered species animal. And I looked into it later and found out that if you go traveling anywhere with an endangered species animal, alive or dead, that's a felony.
Oh my hell! So they were trying to set you up.
So I was thankful I found that.
Crazy.
In there.
What did you do with it?
Well, we took it down to the woods and dropped it off.
Just dropped it out. Yeah.
Back in its habitat.
Unbelievable.
And I looked around for tracks and everything. You know, I never saw anything. So they were good, whoever they were.
Wow.
Whoever did that. And then I had other things with the truck. Well, I'd crank it up and it hadn't been raining or anything, and the windshield wipers would be going. So it's like prankster stuff.
Yeah. Then, it's like they're just sending you subtle messages to hit you subconsciously, you know. You know, obviously some of it's hitting you consciously, but it's like they're just kind of little, it's like the soft intimidation or the soft message. Hey, you know, we're paying attention. You better be careful.
Yeah, just maybe make you a little paranoid, things
Yeah.
like that. Because it really is just like it's just prankster stuff. And
Yeah.
I have other things I had I'd go get ready to go drive the truck, and I go there, and the door was locked, but the window was halfway down. I always wind it up, and then I would have to see this closing the door that it's halfway down.
Yeah, that is so crazy.
And then the driver's side rear view mirror was turned the opposite direction over there. Again, I saw
Wow.
no marks on it, no fingerprints or anything. And I got it all to stop by I parked the truck in a different place, and I put a trail cam on a tree right nearby, right at the truck. And that was it. Never had it ever happen again.
Oh my heck. That is so fast. That's crazy. So many people that would hear this stuff would just think we're nuts. But I've just heard so many stories like this that it's not make believe. This is the real crazy place that we live. I mean,
they really don't like you disagreeing with them.
Yeah.
And saying, I don't believe this is true, and here's why.
Yep. Exactly.
When you have the receipts on them, they really don't like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and they do so much to protect against those. That's what's also frustrating too. It's you're fighting such an unfair fight, the way that they can rig it. And that's one thing when I went through my experience through the federal system, I mean, that opened my eyes up, and just it's like crazy because
that was an education right there.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I've never been so frustrated and angry at the same time. And then, going through what I went through, knowing the truth. And then I see, things that are exposed on Hillary Clinton, the email files and the bleach bed and all that garbage. And, nothing happens. And then, I used to get so pissed off just talking about that, because it's just, you can't even have a fair fight. That's all you'd want. I mean, and they're obviously getting that very exposed on what, our whole justice system is so compromised from top to bottom now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's it's a cabal, and they're all scratching each other's back. They all support each other.
Yeah.
And so they get away with whatever they want to.
Yep. Yeah, when you learn about that legal system and that whole bar and all what's behind that and what really is, it's like, wow, how has this been going on for so long that the fact that it's, we're still, in a sense, we're still putting up with it. Obviously, there are a lot of people that are starting to make some moves and do some things that I believe are really starting to make a difference, but it's that, when they're working for the crown basically, and they're basically, anyway, it's just a banking system is really what the courts are, it's nuts. But what else do you have on your mind, George, regarding the JFK assassination? What's your personal take on, like, where the shot came from, things like that? Do you have a strong opinion on that, or have you done enough research that you have a very firm stance on that, or what's your take?
Well, it had to be from the front somewhere, because it's quite apparent. His head goes back. In fact, I just did a blog article, and I also put out a video clip I made on Dan Rather when he got to see an advanced copy of it a few days after the assassination of the Zapruder film, and he's on television saying, you could see the shot came from the back, because Kennedy's head went like that from the back. Then later, when the film is shown on, Geraldo Rivera had a late night show in 1975, and that was the first time it had ever been shown on TV, the Zapruder film. And you can clearly see, and the audience gasped too. If you ever see that clip, it's it's online.
Yeah,
and you can clearly see his head go back like that. And and then you see where Dan Rather went. See, he became one of their star reporters, and then he got a job. They took care of him. So,
man, I could go so many different places on that stuff, but I'll hold off. It is so, with just so many things that are taking place right now, it's just they're so similar, because that's the way this whole operation seems to work too. It's all based on blackmail and money and power. They influence people and get them in positions where they can then get even something that's more damning other than just influence or money or whatever. And then they can take control of them, and get them pretty much to be their puppets to do what they need to, what they want done. And I mean, we've seen that since Obama signed the Smith-Mundt Act, that, MSM, that just allowed them to give propaganda to us. And you look at how many big news people throughout the country at all your major markets, even all your small markets, there are very few who've, stepped down or that pushed back against the narrative during the pandemic and, or whatever else. And that just makes you wonder how many of those people they've gotten to, whether it's money or put in compromising situations, because you'd think that, I'd like to believe that there's more good people out there that would stick to their core values and the integrity of who they truly are, that they would be willing to walk,
Yeah. You would hope so. Well, I'm sure they're out there, but a lot of them, I think they just get crushed and they get.
Well, they intimidate or they threaten. Yeah.
Threaten, run out, ostracized, so on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard a fascinating situation yesterday. I won't waste the time to get into, but the premise was, somebody that has been doing a lot of nefarious things, and it's pretty obvious, it's not conspiracy stuff, but the take on it was, they did have some dirt on them that could cause them, probably life in prison type situation. And so they, was covered up, but supposedly the Illuminati side people, knew of the truth and had literal witnesses and people that were involved in some of the discussions. And so they held that over this individual who obviously didn't want to go to prison for life and whatnot. And so they basically said, well, you need to do this, then you need to do this. And before you know it, he's in, then possibly threatening, well, if you don't do this, then, your family, your kids are going to be, at risk. I mean, I don't know many people, I'm glad I'm not in this situation, but I don't know many people that are truly honest themselves. If they're threatening your wife or kids or grandkids, who wouldn't fall, Yeah. And that's the level of evil that these people are, and how they are able to get away and do a lot of the stuff that they've gotten away with for so dang long.
Yeah, it's just there's a law for them and a law for us.
That's right. That is so true. And we are just, I said just the deplorables, because that's the way they look at us. We're just useless eaters. So
that's what they say.
Yeah. Well, George, I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to, hit on to wrap up?
No, I think we covered plenty right here.
Yeah, it's great stuff
for your viewers and everything. So hopefully everybody's more enlightened. And so you can read my work once again at 𝗎𝗲𝐺𝐻𝐵𝗴𝗲𝐺 And I've got a link on there, JFK-files, and I can send you that link later. And
if you would, that'd be great, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll do that, and then people can go there, and I got a list of all my articles on there on JFK only.
Awesome.
So people can read
great.
See those. All right.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, folks. I'll have that the Substack link also in the show notes. Please subscribe to George's channel there if you have the ability. I don't know. Seems like Substack. You can correct me if I'm wrong, George. I think some it could be $5, $8 a month, something like that. I don't know if that's a Substack price they set it or if the individual sets it, but if you can support George in any way, please do so, because I'm telling you, this man does a ton of work and he has a ton of content, and it is one of the Substack subscriptions you should have. So check it out. And if you have any questions, please, that you want asked or, brought up with George, leave them in the comments, and we'll come back and do a show and answer questions that you might have in the comments. So thanks for watching. And George, again, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And take care.
Appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Take care.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. This is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work.
The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow. And to thank you for all your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get my dog beds for as low as $19.99, or for a limited time, you can get my 6-piece towel sets, regularly $109.99, now only $39.99. The lowest price ever with your promo code.